Welcome to another episode of Nerds Amalgamated. I am the DJ, and with me today I have the Professor.
Oh,
Fun week?
it's been all right.
Any office mishaps?
No, I've had a really boring week. No computers caught fire. Nobody got any horrible computer viruses.
Not even a worm?
Nope, not even a worm.
I think the time has come, Professor. The time has come, Professor. I think you've done your job. It's time for you to go.
I taught them everything I know, and they don't listen.
It's like time for you to walk down the sunset, like
Master Oogway in Kung Fu Panda. Just dissolve into petals.
Usually just gonna have like Hans Zimmer playing in the background, and you'll be like, wow, the Professor was such a meaningful man.
Well, unfortunately, people don't learn, so I'm still needed. There'll probably be something fun happening next week.
Yep. And by then you'll be starting to lose sleep.
Yep. Well, that's the thing, though. On days when there's no major issue, I'm sitting there all day, A, bored out of my mind because there's nothing to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I go and do some training or whatever when I have that available. Or B, waiting for something to happen and knowing that when it does happen, it's going to be big.
And then you'll be like, oh, crud, it happened.
Yep.
And then I bet you, like, by the time you healed the problem, you'll be like, why do we need sleep?
There we go. Your segues are getting better.
Oh, thank you.
So why do we need sleep?
To relax, to recharge, to anticipate the craziness of tomorrow.
You didn't read the article, did you?
Nope. But yeah, there's more to that. There's more to that question. I will say there is more to it.
So the UCLA has released a quantitative analysis paper collecting a bunch of different research about why you need to sleep. And it turns out that in babies up to 2.5 years old, when you sleep, your brain is mostly growing, but after that, your brain goes to maintenance mode while you sleep.
Well, then the question would be, though, if it's in maintenance and repair, so where do the dreams come from then? Is it just a side effect of repairing and maintenance?
No, there's a few different arguments about dreams. I think the most accepted one is probably that it's associated with your memories. There's another theory that it's your brain playing out, basically simulating scenarios. But while it's in maintenance mode, the channels in your brain open up and allow the cerebral spinal fluid to flow through and carry away metabolic waste, including beta amyloids. And beta amyloids are associated with dementia. So it seems likely that if you don't sleep, the channels in your brain won't open up and wash away the beta amyloids, leading to you going and getting dementia, which is a bit scary. I'm definitely going to bed when we're done here.
But here's the question, though, when it comes to sleep, though. Like, I've always hear like people saying like, okay, you need to sleep like 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours. Like, you don't get the right, you don't get the proper amount of hours to sleep, though.
Yeah. So this paper suggests 7.5 hours, and obviously that's not true for everyone. Some people just can't sleep past 6 hours. Some people feel awful even if they sleep for 9 hours. But, as a rule of thumb, aim for 7.5 hours of sleep and try not to get woken up, and try to set your room up so it's good quality sleep.
Yeah, I've got a website here from the Sleep Foundation. They're saying here adult 26 to 64 years old, 7 to 9 hours of sleep.
Okay.
And the older adult, 65 or more years, 7 to 8 hours of sleep. And also the annoying part about it, like, yeah, sure, we can recommend people to sleep like 7 to 9 hours a day. But the problem is, like, now that in this current climate, it's impossible because things are getting more busier, and more workplaces are saying like, all right, we need you to do more work and screw your sleep patterns. Yeah,
I really hope that the more evidence that comes out that says that things like sleep are important, the more, I'd like to believe in people being genuinely good at heart. And that if Amazon or some other company that really overworks their workers sees an article that says, overworking your workers is bad for their health, then they would change. Now, I'm not always hopeful that it will happen, but I'd like it to.
It also does take into effect naps as well. Like I get that sleep is important, but then what happens if you take a nap and you can't get to sleep later in the day?
It depends, really. So, what grade of sleep was your nap? Did you have rapid eye movement sleep? So, there's some people follow sleep regimes called polyphasic sleep, where the idea is that instead of sleeping in one block from, 11 until 6 in the morning or whatever, you sleep in 2 or more blocks throughout the day. And that way you're technically spending more time awake. And having those naps is what keeps you feeling functional. Yeah. But I've got to wonder whether the people who follow those plans and only sleep for, say, 20 minutes at a time are actually getting the benefit of sleep. Are their brains being repaired and maintained? Or are they going to be more likely to have dementia when they get older because they didn't give their brains time to sleep?
Yeah, apparently, if I recall, in Mexico, there are some, they do a thing called the siestas.
Yes, the afternoon snooze.
Yep.
I understand that that started because in places in hot places like Mexico or Spain, it's just too hot during the day to work. Yeah. So you get up early and have a productive morning, have a snooze for a few hours, and then have do your evening stuff. A few more hours of work, have a late dinner or whatever.
Yeah. Interestingly, you said about Spain. They said here that in modern Spain, the midday nap during the working week has largely been abandoned among the adult working population. According to a 2009 survey, 16.2% of Spaniards polled claimed to take a nap daily, inverted commas, where 22% do sometimes, 3.2% on weekends only, and remainder never. The share of those who claim to have nap daily had diminished by 7% compared to the previous poll in 1998. English language media always conflate the siesta with a 2 or 3 hour lunch break, which is characteristic of Spanish working hours. Even though the working population is likely to have time for a siesta, are less likely to have time for a siesta, and two events are not necessarily connected.
Interesting. So they have a long lunch, even if they're not having a snooze. I can see why that would be useful, because it's an absolute pain that the bank closes at 4:30. How are people who work 9 to 5 supposed to go to the bank? Whereas if you had a long lunch break, you'd be able to figure that out. Hopefully people would offset their time by a bit, so there'd always be someone in the office.
Yeah. Here's my question, though, as we come back to the topic. Like you were saying, how sleep takes out the buildup of waste that increases dementia. Would you say the afternoon, let's say, for example, I have less than 8 hours of sleep, a 5-hour sleep, and it pauses the process in removing the waste. Would the afternoon siesta does the rest in a way?
I don't know. It's not something mentioned in this paper that I've seen.
Yeah.
But there is some debate about whether you can have a sleep debt, whether you can, if you skip a night of sleep for whatever reason, can you benefit from extra sleep in the days following?
They're saying here a large sleep debt may lead to mental and physical fatigue.
Yeah.
And it also
makes sense.
Yeah, and it also could lead to obesity as well. And
yep.
In terms of scientific debate, the debate among researchers as to whether the concept of sleep debt describes a measurable phenomenon. A 2004 issue of journal Sleep contains dueling editorials from two leading sleep science researchers. A 1997 experiment conducted by physicists at the University of Pennsylvania suggested that the cumulative nocturnal sleep debt affects daytime sleepiness, particularly on the first, second, 6, and 7 days of sleep restriction.
Okay.
So in other words, it is possible, but then more research needed.
Yeah.
And the other interesting part when it comes to sleep is I wonder how would this affect caffeine users? You get the odd gamer or two with the energy drink hit.
So, the issue there is caffeine binds with, I think it's melanin receptors or it blocks them and prevents your body from picking up the signal that you are tired. So melanin is a hormone that regulates your sleep, and having caffeine will block the receptors. Your body can't tell that you're actually tired and you feel awake. I think that would be not great, because then you just end up spending all night awake because you're doped up on caffeine and you're not getting the sleep you need.
Yeah,
so I don't think the caffeine itself would affect it. I think not sleeping because you've had caffeine would.
Yeah, I mean, those gamers with their when they go on like long marathons, like, because I remember a story where some guy died at the gaming in a gaming land cafe after spending like 30 hours without sleep or something like that.
Yeah, those people already have issues though. Like, most people will fall asleep before they die from exhaustion. The other issue is the people who stay up multiple days in a row gaming and doped up on caffeine usually have some underlying issue, some addiction or depression or some issue that, they're not doing it because they're doing it because they have as an escape. Yeah. They're not doing it because they want to, not sleep, I think is the issue there.
Yeah. Did they talk anything about exhaustion in the article?
No.
Because that would be an issue as well.
What I'm interested in, though, is that they say that up until 2.5, your brain is in sort of building mode. And while you sleep, your brain is building and growing and developing. And it's not until you're 2.5 that your brain goes to maintenance mode. I wonder if they could work out what enzyme or protein or whatever it is that regulates that would be able, if they could inject that into an adult, if they could boost your brain power.
I think it could be a genetic thing.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah, it could be a genetic trigger. Like
there are genetic sleep issues, like fatal familial insomnia, which is an absolutely terrifying. Actually, no, sorry, that's a prion disease, I think. Okay, so there are genetic sleep issues. I don't think fatal familial insomnia is actually one of them, but that is a really fun condition where you lose the ability to sleep and then die.
Oh, no.
Yeah. No, it is. It does have a genetic component.
I feel sorry for those people who don't. I feel sorry for those people.
Yeah. Yeah. So in this case, it's a prion disease.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the prions are generated by a faulty gene.
And the first recorded case was an Italian man who died in Venice in 1765. Wow. How did they do that? I mean, I wonder if they had better computers back in 1765.
That's bad. You're trying to do the Chinese gamers are better because of their computers, not their hacks thing. But that's not how it works.
Damn it. But yeah, with the lack of sleep, I mean, sleep is important, but I don't know. I mean, it's fine. As I said earlier on, it's fine and dandy that they're preaching the whole sleep is important, guys. You should do it. But then trying to convey this message to the world, I think it's fine, but I don't think it will reach to a lot of ears.
Yeah, I hope that, people are inspired to take care of themselves when they hear news about how important sleep is. Yeah. I know from experience that, it's not always easy to fix your sleep patterns, but, try to give it a go if you can. And hopefully you've got a job that accommodates that. I feel bad for doctors who often work ridiculous shifts.
Yeah. And most of the doctors, like when they suffer from workaholism, which is an actual term, like most of it depends on, like, there are many reasons why workaholism is a problem in terms of health professionals. Like, for example, it could be competitiveness, it could be there's not enough staff and they need one more guy kind of thing. It could be money issue as well. So it's a myriad of problems. I mean,
yeah,
it's not simple. There is no simple solution to make people go to sleep.
No, it's on a case by case basis.
Yeah.
But one thing that would definitely help is having a stable income. Like, you can actually see with doctors, there's actually a curve that they chart. You can tell a doctor, so working out the ideal shift length for a doctor, you can tell, say, the first 12 hours, I don't remember the exact details, survival rates increase of patients because below that limit, doctors are having to change over, do handoffs, transmit information, and things get forgotten or skipped, not deliberately, but just because they're changing over so often. But beyond that point, the survival rate goes down again because the doctor's fatigued and they make mistakes.
Yeah.
So yeah, whatever reason people are working ridiculous hours, there's a certain cutoff where your performance is lower than the additional performance you get from working overtime.
And even worse would be like the amount of brain, the waste in your brain would be pretty much, once you get to sleep, it'd be pretty hard to get it out of your system as well.
Yeah, you probably just got to, hopefully you just need to sleep an extra few hours, but it's not clear whether that will actually catch you up or not.
So while we do need to sleep, we can be rest assured we won't be using Oculus 2 to buy some to make us go to sleep.
No, sleep takes away from gaming time.
So you got a story about the Oculus 2 and some interesting news.
Yeah, so Ars Technica has gotten a review of the Oculus Quest 2. And Facebook, who, when they acquired Oculus, said all this stuff about not ever requiring a Facebook login. Turns out they lied.
Ah, man.
Yeah. So sometime next year, you're going to need to use a Facebook account to use your Oculus. And I'm sure people will make jailbreaks for the Oculus Quest.
Yeah.
People have already jailbroken. I think they've jailbroken it, so it actually, no, it's Revive lets you play Quest games on the Vive, I think. So yeah. So now that you need to create a Facebook account to use with your Oculus Quest in the near future, they Ars Technica also now noticed the screen is better. It should have higher frame rate, but it doesn't support it yet. The wireless hardware should be better. The battery is smaller, which is unusual. Usually things give you a better battery life in the second generation. I'm imagining they decided, so Ars Technica report that you'll barely exceed 2 hours. I imagine Facebook optimized that. They worked out most people play for, say, 90 minutes. So we all dial in 2 hours as the sweet spot, which is possibly better. There's less weight hanging off the front of your face, but then they go and wreck it by giving you a terrible head strap. In the tradition of the Oculus Quest, they make it, they further narrow the IPD slider. So the IPD, the interpupillary distance, the distance between your pupils, has to be manually adjusted on most headsets. And the very first Oculus devices had pretty good IPD settings, and Palmer Luckey, who founded Oculus, actually pointed out in a blog post after Facebook bought Oculus and announced a new device with a smaller IPD adjustment that he wouldn't be able to use it because his IPD is outside the range. So it looks like they're further restricting who can use it. Now, the interesting thing is, Ars Technica had issues with the controllers, but other people have said that the controllers are the same as the old ones, or at least the tracking module is. So they're a bit redesigned. They have different batteries and stuff, but they are actually should theoretically perform the same, but they don't according to Ars Technica, so we don't know why. I'm
looking at another article that said that, as you were saying, like they have a new processor as well.
Yeah, so it's a standard Gen 2, new hardware, new design, new battery.
Yeah.
But some of the other decisions are just dumb.
Yeah. Now that you mention it with the Facebook account, parents are very, very angry at it, apparently. Like some parents were saying like they don't like, they were saying like it really touched the nerve and I feel resentful towards Facebook, said one mom who's raising a single mom who's raising a 13-year-old and running the PR marketing firm saying that, and another one saying like, my son's not ready for social media because of what it brings.
Yep. Stay out of my eyeballs, Zuck.
Say,
He says as a Facebook user. Look, I know that I don't like that I have to use Facebook. I don't like that it's the best way to do certain things, but I do try to protect myself online. And I won't be buying a Quest 2 because I don't want to link my Facebook account with it.
Yeah, but that's the thing though. Nowadays, like everything is all interconnectivity is a thing now. Like people are always linking up their Instagram account, their Facebook account, their TikTok account, their Facebook, and all of it's all connected now, which is very interesting, but very sad at the same time, because it's sad in terms of you can't get any privacy, yet you want to be connected to everything.
Which is why I'm looking into open source, secure messaging and stuff. Not because I want to be a badass criminal cyber hacker, go hacker man with my hoodie and my laptop. No, it's because I want my privacy and I want to stay connected to the people I care about.
Although the other interesting question would be with Facebook coming into the Oculus, the other interesting thing would be, I wonder how many civil liberty lawsuits you're gonna get.
Yeah, the ACLU is probably gonna point this out. I don't know if they will go and do a lawsuit about it, but this is the sort of thing that the ACLU does care about, along with the EFF.
The stupid part about this scenario as well is that what if the parent said, like, I don't want to introduce my kids to social media, but then do you want to make it like you're gonna hinder your child's progress and enjoyment just because of a privacy issue?
There are responsible ways to use social media.
Oh yeah.
And it's up to parents how they raise their children within boundaries, of course. But I think a child is going to be less hindered by being banned from Facebook than they are by a lot of other things.
Or he's a crazy.
And how old is this kid though? Is this kid 10 years old? In which case they can't technically have a Facebook account because the terms and services for Facebook require you to be 13.
Yeah, 13, yeah.
Yeah, so it could be, this locks out buying one for your kids unless you want to link it to your own Facebook account because you need to be 13 to have a Facebook account.
And Facebook's response to the whole idea is basically this: giving people a single way to log into Oculus using their Facebook account and password will make it easier to find, connect, and play with friends in VR. That just sounds like a PR speak.
Achoo! Sorry, I'm allergic to bullshit.
Yep.
The other thing is, I don't want to invite Facebook into my house that much.
Yeah.
Like, this also has cameras on it. They are infrared cameras, but I don't want Facebook knowing, the layout of my apartment.
Yeah. What was that crazy story about Alexa? Remember when Alexa was hacking into your systems?
Which one?
There was a story about how Alexa could be tracking every movement that you have around the house and your search history and whatnot.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, that is the part of what sort of you're inviting in your house by choosing to use an Alexa.
Yeah.
A Roomba can actually be used to make a map of your house.
Oh, no.
There's a guy who used... Have you got a Roomba?
No, I don't. But luckily, no. But I cannot fathom to think what will happen.
So there's a guy who made a Roomba plugin that, as it mapped his house, so the Roomba has positioning systems. So he made a plugin for the Roomba to learn how his house was laid out and then port that into Doom.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Yeah.
See, that's the danger. And here's another funny thing from Facebook, all right? This information is also used to show you personalized content, including ads.
Yep, that's the Facebook way.
Can you imagine? All right, can you imagine this, right? You're playing Beat Saber on your Oculus Rift. All of a sudden, in the middle of a round, want to buy a new hoodie from a Facebook shop? go to this Facebook page.
Honestly,
get a discount.
this does kind of remind me of the bad guys from Ready Player One.
Oh yeah. Oh, this
Like
is
that scene in the movie that's where they're like, see, this is the player's UI now. This is the UI with 70% more ads.
This opens up a very, very tricky can of worms.
Yeah, so I mean, personally, I'm not interested in a Quest because of Facebook, so I'll be buying from a competitor. But part of what bugs me about this is that they're applying this requirement to people who have already bought the Quest and signed up and are playing under the current terms of service. And I think that's a pretty major change to the terms of service.
Oh man, I just find I just think this is insane in terms of how we're slowly degrading into we're slowly dancing into China censorship territory. Yet at the same time, we're not. This is insane.
The cyberpunk dystopia was not a manual.
Oh, I could say that with 1984 as well. Oh no. Oh, irony thy name.
It's more we're more Brave New World than 1984. I mean, we've got the surveillance state aspect, but we've also got the bread and circuses distracting us from giving a damn.
Can you imagine Edward Snowden sitting in Russia right now going, ha ha, I told you so, but you didn't believe me.
Yeah, Ed Snowden was more about it was more about the government spying on you. But
that's another thing. Can you imagine your Facebook account, your government looks into your history?
Yeah, please no.
Oh no. Yeah, I bet you if society crumbles, it will be like Dune.
How will it be like Dune?
We'll rebuild society under houses like House Atreides and House Harkonnens and whatnot.
You nearly said House Barconan.
Yep.
Which just got me thinking of an adorable dog-themed Dune parody.
But so Broom Studios have recently...
Oh no. The dog-themed parody of Worm Sign is worse.
Oh no!
No, why did I think this? I'm gonna go just scrape my brain out with a spoon.
So, Boom Studios have recently revealed a first look of their upcoming Dune House Atreides series by Brian Herbert, Kevin J. Anderson, and Dev Paramanik. So this will be
it's House Atreides.
Yeah. So this will be a 12 issue series based on the prequel novel written by Herbert and Anderson based on the Dune creator Frank Herbert's notes. And the series will showcase Herbert's Dune characters before their involvement in the first novel.
Yeah, I've read the book it's based on. It's not good.
Okay, how not good are we saying here? As in pacing or plot or
pacing, plot, characters. So, the original Dune is a masterpiece on the level of Lord of the Rings. The other stuff by his son, or is it his grandson? But anyway, the Herbert and Anderson stuff it's a good comparison. It's like a typical Hollywood adaptation. It gets so much wrong, and is really it gets so much wrong. So many simple little things. So the most egregious is that the Fremen make knives out of the teeth of sandworms called crow's knives. And the thing is, these knives will decay if they aren't kept near a living body. Now, they have a treatment that they call fixing, which preserves a crow's knife. It stops it decaying. They spent 2 books of the series using fixed to refer to the ones that decay. And then they change it in the 3rd book. So it's clear they eventually realized that they screwed up.
So they retconned the whole thing again?
No, they just quietly changed to using the correct term.
So which prequels in particular really dug you deep? I am not going to read any more of these prequels.
Let's see. I've read the 3 sequels and the 3 immediate prequels about the houses. I haven't read the Butlerian Jihad books, which I should. I mean, I want to get around to it, but then I don't know if I actually want to. And I haven't read the books that go in between. Okay. So there's 6 books by Frank Herbert, 3 sequels, which wrap up the story, 3 prequels, which introduce the main characters from the series, and 3 that are set, 1,000 years before that, and are about mythological events. And then they went and filled in the gaps between the books with a bunch of other books.
Yeah. So for the plot for this one, it's basically set in the years leading up to Dune, which inspired the upcoming film from Legendary Pictures. Dune has Atreides transports the readers to a far future on the desert planet Arrakis, where Pardo seeks its ecological secrets in remote, desolate regions of the alien world. Meanwhile, a violent coup is planned by Shaddam Corrin, the son of Emperor Elrond. Far away, an 8-year-old slave, Duncan Idaho, seeks to escape his cruel masters, and a young man named Leto Atreides begins a fateful journey. These unlikely souls are drawn together first as renegades, then as something more as they discover their true fate. To change the very shape of history. Boy, how have I heard that line before? To change the very shape of history.
Yeah.
So what do you reckon, though? You reckon it's a good medium?
Yeah, it could be good. I mean, the story's not the best. And it does feel a bit like they're cashing in on the movie coming out. But
it's Hollywood, man. They cash into anything.
I mean, the prequels are probably better to be an adaptation than the main series. The difficulty with the main books is that they're quite philosophical, and there's a lot of sort of sitting and talking, and that doesn't come across well in a film because you've got 2 hours to fit in as much action as you can, which is why I'm cautiously hopeful that the new movie will be good. But
well, then again, though, like I said, it's comic books, so people will buy comics no matter what it is at this stage. Like comics, like a comic book. If I agree with you there, like it's all like it's a good medium. But you're right. I just hope they stay faithful to the source material. But I haven't, like, to full disclosure, I haven't really seen Dune. Actually, scratch that. I have seen Dune the movie, but never really followed the Dune universe.
Which one? The 1984 movie?
Yeah, the 1984 movie. Yeah.
Yeah, don't try to follow it from there. Just start from scratch.
Okay. But speaking of different mediums, Disney Plus series, they've got a She-Hulk series coming up, and they've recently announced the person to play as She-Hulk, Tatiana Maslany, who was from Orphan Black, if I recall.
Yes, she played like all of the main characters in Orphan Black. It's a fantastic series. So the basic gist of the series is that Tatiana Maslany plays a family of clones who, but she manages to put this spin on each character and has each character feeling unique, even in scenes where some of the characters go undercover as each other. And I think that would tie in well with Hulk, considering that it's 2 characters playing, 2 characters representing the same person, different aspects of their personality.
See, with She-Hulk in this one. So here's a brief backstory about her. So She-Hulk is Jennifer Walters, and she's the cousin of Bruce Banner, the one that is the first Hulk. And as a lawyer, she was shot and seriously wounded on the same day that her cousin was to visit her and reveal that he is the Hulk. So no one was able to match her blood type, so Bruce gave her an emergency transfusion, but his gamma-irradiated blood and his own anger turns Walters into the little creature for the first time when the gangsters return to finish the job. Unlike her cousin, Walters learns to control her transformation and decides to spend most of her time looking green while continuing to practice law. So basically, she is the she's
Daredevil but green.
Yep. Well, without the supernatural senses, but yeah, with the super strength and all. But yeah, here's my problem with I'm okay with it. Like if she's good with Orphan Black, It'd be great. It'd be good casting. My biggest fear when it comes to Disney Plus is the writing, because Disney has a very bad history when it comes to female characters in the terms of Mary Sue's, as what we've seen with Mulan recently.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
it was. It's.
I'll admit, I haven't seen the new Milan, but I know a lot of people aren't happy that it's its own thing rather than a remake of the animated version. Like,
Yeah.
Lion King is basically a shot-for-shot remake of the animated version.
Yeah.
Yes, Lion King is animated, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
The Milan is its own thing and cuts out all of the supernatural stuff and goes into the mythical stuff.
Yeah. And no singing, no mushu, no cricket, nothing, nothing, not even the, not even. Here's a funny thing, not even the commander that sings the "Be a Man" song, not even that.
Okay.
Like here's the problem with the animated Disney ones. They were good because Mulan had like the different ways of thinking. She had like, it was a female hero's journey. With the current Disney heroes, like for example, Rey from Star Wars, with Mulan, and hopefully not She-Hulk, is that the hero's journey in the current way, it's not portrayed properly. It's just, I have this superpower, bow before me. I can control it. I can control it without any sort of prior knowledge or anything like that.
Yeah, the Star Wars movies did have a bit of that, unfortunately.
Yeah. So that's my fear when it comes to She-Hulk. Like, are they going to ruin that with She-Hulk by making her a Mary Sue, or are they going to make it as a genuine hero's journey, female hero's journey?
It's going to be a television series, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
So hopefully it'll be a different team to the movie team.
Yeah, but like I said, the writers will make it up. Will make it like make her into this Mary Sue, even if it's like a different medium. So that's my gripe. Like, and I hope it survives. Sorry.
You know, their TV shows are better regarded than their movies at the moment.
Yeah, but that being said, though, like superhero TV shows recently have not been doing well. Like, for example, Supergirl. It recently came out saying that they're going to be ending the series, and yeah, it wasn't received well.
Judging by the advertising budget, The Boys is being really well received.
Oh yeah.
Every bloody YouTube video I watch.
But okay, I agree with you there. The Boys will be an exception, but I'm talking more like female centric TV shows. Recently, have not been doing well. Like for example, as I said, Supergirl. We wanted it ending so soon, and people have, and it wasn't really well received. Batwoman with Ruby Rose, that is not going well. Like, they made Batwoman into like from a tough character into, oh yes, I'm perfect, I'm good, I don't need training, I can do all this in the back of my head, no training whatsoever.
That's an interesting point. Who was the actor who played? Was it Ben Affleck played Bat Nipples Batman?
No, George Clooney.
George Clooney. Yeah, you couldn't get away with that for Batgirl though.
Oh god. But yeah, as I said, like, I'm just hoping they don't mess it up, because like I said, Disney has a habit of just destroying like popular female characters and making them into Mary Sues, and like not doing well. Oh, actually, there's one more Disney. There's one more female Disney character, Captain Marvel.
I thought people liked that one.
It was split, but people were just like, yeah, she's just a Mary Sue.
Okay.
Yeah. But
well, I'll admit
Disney,
I
don't screw it up.
watch every movie, so
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so moving on. So Professor, what game have you been playing?
I've been playing the Super Mario 64 re-release.
Ooh.
Nintendo re-released 64, Sunshine, and Galaxy on Switch as part of the 3D All-Stars pack. the camera is better than I remember it being. It still has issues, but I don't know. I don't remember it's a direct port, not even a port. It's emulated, but maybe it's just that the having twin sticks instead of buttons. The camera does feel better. The controls are still, just as good as they were. The most disappointing thing is that they used a patched Japanese version of it that came out after, a year or two after the original game. So instead of Mario saying, "So long, gay Bowser," you're aware of that line?
No, vaguely.
So when Mario throws Bowser in one of the boss battles, right near the beginning of the game, so everyone's seen it, he would say something. Apparently, it's something like "So long, King Bowser," but between his accent and the low audio quality, it came across as "So long, gay Bowser," which made Mario possibly the most homophobic action platformer hero around. But it's okay because he's still horribly bigoted. Now he says bye-bye.
Before you go on, just one clarification. It's not Batgirl, it's Batwoman. That's
okay.
Yeah, Batwoman. But yeah, with gay Bowser. How could they get it so wrong?
I think they knew what they were listening for. When they recorded it, they knew that the line was going to be "So long, King Bowser" or whatever. And it wasn't until it got out in the world when people who hadn't been pre-exposed to the line "King Bowser," they heard "Gay Bowser." It's like seeing faces where there aren't any, or hearing things in backwards songs. If you prime your brain for what you want to see, you will see it. So the developers were primed for hearing King Bowser. The gamers weren't primed yet, so they heard Gay Bowser.
So the graphics are better on the new one?
Yeah, they're higher resolution. Unfortunately, they aren't really improved. The pop-in is still pretty bad. But the gameplay is still just as good as it was. And there are no glaring issues with the port or the emulation, although the bug fixes do break speedrunning tactics.
So how many Nerdy Beanies out of 5 would you give that one?
5 out of 5.
Nice.
Yeah, it's still a very, for what it is, it's absolutely perfect. Sure, a remake would be nice, especially if they made it in the Odyssey engine. But the considering it's the first 3D platformer that Nintendo made back in the day when that wasn't even really a thing, I don't know how they got it so right.
I reckon they got it right because of the they didn't milk the franchise what you see nowadays. I think they got it right. Nintendo got it right, basically.
Really?
Yeah.
I
mean, Nintendo was doing well. When Super Nintendo came out, there was all these Mario games, and they were fun. And when Nintendo 64 came out, oh yeah, Mario 64, cool. Keep that wave going. Keep the momentum going. It was a smooth transition.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I mean, there's only really one Mario game per generation, or one or two, so it isn't oversaturated.
Yeah.
But what I mean by them getting it right is that apart from certain issues like the camera, there's no they made such a good game from scratch. They weren't copying off anyone. They weren't learning from anyone. They had to come up with it all, or most of it, themselves. So that's what's interesting to me, that they managed to pull it off. So what did you play?
I have been playing Among Us.
I gave that a bit of a go the other night.
No, yeah. And?
Well, I like it. I think I prefer other games with the same mechanics, but it's pretty quick and easy to get into, so it's nothing wrong with it. I think I just prefer other games with that style.
It reminds me of Deceit, that game.
Yeah.
But the cool part about it is how you can duck and dive and commit perjury. Just I saw this guy at this room. No, I wasn't in that room. I was in this other room. And they're oh man, you're trying to. It tells you a couple of things though, whether you're a good liar or a bad liar. And I'm definitely not a good liar. But yeah, with Among Us though, there are some issues. There are some UI issues sometimes, but sometimes the screen would glitch and you can't vote, but you can You can't vote or anything like that, and sometimes you have to do you have to still do the same task even though the task has been completed, which is very annoying.
Yeah, there's a few bugs.
Yeah, I will say this though: the character models for Among Us, it's slow. It's eerily similar to the Fall Guys character models.
Yeah, they're kind of solid colors with circular face holes.
Yeah,
but yeah, I had a bug when I was playing last night. I was murdered, and then people were still seeing me walk around like I was a ghost going around doing my tasks. But people were seeing me as a person walking around. So when a meeting was called, like, I was in a voice chat with people to discuss, and when the meeting was called, they were like, "Why aren't you talking? You're still alive. You're right here, standing in front of me." And I'm like, "No, mate, I'm really not." Like, I broke character to explain that I was bugged because yeah, it was and then I ended up being murdered again somehow, and that was what ended the game because I was the last one alive.
Wow, that glitchy.
Yeah.
Oh man! But the cool part about it is when you're the imposter, you can do all these sabotages and be sus as heck.
I like locking people in locking people in rooms just to annoy them.
Yeah. Oh, the other annoying part is sometimes when you're when you're locking them out, there's a small sliver of like who can see what as well. I don't know whether you've noticed it. So let's say, for example, you locked someone. You've like I'm locked in with the victim, and there's a small sliver of the door that's been locked from the outside angle, and I just kill the person. You'd be like, oh, I saw this guy killed it because of the name and stuff.
Okay.
But still, it's a fun game, and it teaches you a lot of things. That game, like how to lie properly. I'm giving this game 4 out of 5. 4 out of 5. It's fun. It's fun, entertaining, and and definitely very sneaky. So on to our shout-outs. On the 14th of September 2020, Bill Gates Sr. passes away. So Bill Gates Sr., a lawyer and father of Microsoft's co-founder, who stepped in when appeals for charity began to overwhelm his billionaire son, and started what became the world's largest philanthropy, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, has died. In 1994, Mr. Gates was 69 and planning to retire from his prestigious law practice in a few years when one autumn evening, he and his son Bill and his daughter-in-law Belinda went to a movie. Standing in the ticket line, Bill told his father that he was inundated with appeals for charity, but he was far too busy running Microsoft to answer them. His father suggested that he, Bill Sr., could sift through the paperwork and, with his son's approval, send out some checks. So when Mr. Gates Sr. found later were dozens of cardboards filled with requests for money. Many were heartbreaking stories of need. A week later, Bill Jr. set aside $100 million to open what was initially called the William H. Gates Foundation. His father, sitting at his kitchen table, wrote their first check, $80,000 for a local cancer program. And so in a tribute, his son said that his wisdom, generosity, empathy, and humility had a huge influence on people around the world. Yeah, what a legend. 17th of September 2020, Winston Groom passes away at 77. Winston Groom, the writer, historian, and University of Alabama graduate whose novel Forrest Gump became a pop culture phenomenon, selling 1.7 million copies on the strength of its adaptation into an iconic 6 Oscar-winning 1994 movie, has died. While he's best known for his novel, which was adapted into movies, the film propelled the novel to bestseller status, and it sold 1.7 million, as I said earlier on. However, Paramount Pictures utilized the Hollywood accounting to deflate the profitability numbers of the film, and Groom received no payment for his 3% profit share in it.
Boo.
I know. He published a sequel, Gump & Co. in 1985, and on Groom's first pages, Gump speaks on how poorly folks treated him because he was an idiot, but quickly slides into glory days as a Crimson Tide running back. Groom's Gump was built more like the writer himself. At 6 feet 6 inches and 240 pounds, an astronaut, professional wrestler, chess grandmaster, ping pong wizard, and co-star of Raquel Welch in the remake of The Creature from the Black Lagoon. Unlike the Hollywood version, Gump smoked dope, enjoyed sex, played rock and roll, and enjoyed his college experience elsewhere than on Gridiron. And
he also joined the space program and crash landed on an island of cannibals. The book gets weird. Drew the idea from a story his father told him about a neighbor's kid who, despite mental challenges, displayed savant behavior. Inspired, he pushed aside another project and wrote Forrest Gump in a 6-week burst of energy. He died in Fairhope, Alabama. Man, 6 weeks burst of energy. I couldn't even write a university assignment in 6 weeks. And I wonder how much sleep did that guy get? Judging by the plot, not enough. Yep. On the 18th of September 2020, Ruth Bader Ginsburg passes away at 87. So Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the demure firebrand who in the 80s became a legal cultural feminist icon, has died. The court in a statement said, "Our nation has lost a justice of historic stature." Chief Justice John Roberts said, "We at the Supreme Court have lost a cherished colleague. Today we mourn, but with confidence that future generations will remember Ruth Bader Ginsburg as we knew her, a tireless, resolute champion of justice." His granddaughter said, "My fervent wish is that I will not be replaced until a new president is installed." She has received attention in American popular culture for her passionate dissents in numerous cases, widely seen as reflecting paradigmatically liberal views of the law. She was playfully and nobly dubbed the Notorious RBG by a law student, a reference to the late Brooklyn-born rapper Notorious B.I.G., and she later embraced the moniker. She died from complications of metastatic pancreatic cancer in Washington, D.C. I'm amazed that she's lived that long with that kind of an illness. Yeah. Oh, and interestingly enough, she was nominated by Bill Clinton. So she would have started, when was Bill Clinton? Like the early 90s. Yeah. So she had almost 30 years of service. Yeah. 1993, that's when he started his presidency. Oh, okay. So, 25 years of service. Nothing to sneeze at. Yeah. So on to our remembrances. 21st of September 1576, Girolamo Cardano, an Italian polymath whose interests and proficiencies range from being a mathematician, physician, biologist, physicist, chemist, astrologer, astronomer, philosopher, writer, and gambler. He was one of the most influential mathematicians of the Renaissance and was one of the key figures in the foundation of probability and the earliest introducer of the binomial coefficient and the binomial theory in the Western world. He wrote more than 200 works of science, and he partially created and described several mechanical devices, including the combination lock, the gimbal, consisting of 3 concentric rings allowing a supported compass or gyroscope to rotate freely, and the carded shaft with universal joints, which allowed the transmission of rotary motion at various angles and is used in devices these days. Cardano was notoriously short of money and kept himself solvent by being an accomplished gambler and chess player. His book about games of chance, Liber di Ludo Alii, also known as book on games of chance, written around 1564 but not published until 1663, contains the first systematic treatment of probability. What you said there was his book on games of chance, called The Book on Games of Chance. Yeah. About games of chance, titled The Book on Games of Chance. Not a huge, but not a fan of titling it differently, but okay. So he basically used the game of drawing dice to understand the basic concepts of probability. He demonstrated that the efficacy of defining odds as the ratio of favorable to unfavorable outcomes, which implies that the probability of an event is given by the ratio of favorable outcomes to the total number of possible outcomes.
He died at the age of 74 in Rome. 21st of September 1971, Bernardo Jose, Argentine physiologist who in 1974 was a co-recipient of a Nobel Prize for Physiology and Medicine for his discovery of the role played by pituitary hormones in regulating the amount of blood sugar in animals. He was the first Argentine Nobel laureate in the sciences. Jose demonstrated in the 1930s that diabetogenic effects affect anterior hypophysis extracts and the decrease in diabetes severity with anterior hypophysectomy. These discoveries stimulated the study of hormonal feedback control mechanisms, which are central to all aspects of modern endocrinology.
You picked a lot of big words to say tonight, didn't you, DJ?
Oh yeah. Jose was also active as a scientific leader and promoter of the advancements of scientific research and medical education in Argentina, as well as in Latin America. He died from natural causes at the age of 84 in Buenos Aires. On the 21st of September 2002, Robert Lull Forward, American physicist and science fiction writer. His literary work was noted for its scientific credibility and the use of ideas developed from his career as an aerospace engineer. Much of his research focused on the leading edges of speculative physics, but was always grounded in what he believed humans could accomplish. He worked in such projects as space tethers and space fountains, solar sails, antimatter propulsion, and other spacecraft propulsion technology, and did further research on more esoteric possibilities such as time travel and negative matter. He was issued a patent for the statite and contributed to the concept to drain the Van Allen belts. He, in addition to the 200 papers and articles, he published 11 novels. His treatment of hard science topics in fiction form is highly reminiscent of the work of Hal Clement. He described his first novel, Dragon's Egg, as a textbook on neutron star physics disguised as a novel. His novel, Roach World, describes a double planet system with a single shared atmosphere and ocean, and a beam-powered propulsion interstellar spaceship to get there. He died from terminal cancer at the age of 70 in Seattle. Actually, now that you mentioned the whole double planet system, there was a story I saw the other day in No Man's Sky. There is a planet where two planets are squished together.
Okay, that's also one of the planetary systems in Outer Wilds is they're called the Hourglass Twins because they're two planets that orbit around each other and sand flows from one to the other and then back. I love how ridiculous sci-fi this stuff is. Space fountains, draining the Van Allen belts. And this guy's like, I reckon we could actually do this.
I bet you some conspiracy theorist will read his novels and go, I've cracked it. I've cracked a way to go time traveling. I've read it in a book.
That would be incredible though. I wish that could happen.
Oh yeah. Famous birthdays. On the 21st of September 1853, Heike Kamerlingh Onnes, Dutch physicist and Nobel laureate, he exploited the Hampson-Lind cycle to investigate how materials behave when cooled to nearly absolute zero, and later to liquefy helium for the first time in 1908. He also discovered superconductivity in 1911. So on 10th of July 1908, he was the first to liquefy helium using several pre-cooling stages and the Hampson-Lind cycle based on the Joule-Thomson effect. This way, he lowered the temperature to the boiling point of helium, which is minus 269 degrees Celsius and 4.2 Kelvin. By reducing the pressure of the liquid helium, he achieved a temperature near 1.5 K. These were the coldest temperatures achieved on Earth at the time. On the 8th of April 1911, Kamerlingh Onnes found that 4.2 K, the resistance of solid mercury wire immersed in liquid helium, suddenly vanished. He immediately realized the significance of the discovery, and he reported that mercury had passed into a new state, which on account of its extraordinary electrical properties may be called the superconductive state. He published more articles about the phenomenon, initially referring to it as superconductivity and later adopting the term superconductivity.
You said superconductivity twice.
Oh, the
first one was supraconductivity.
Yep. Thank you. So it's initially Supra, then Super. Thank you. He gained recognition for it, including the Nobel Prize in Physics, for his investigation on the properties of matter at low temperatures, which led inter alia to the production of liquid helium. He was born in Groningen. I'm going to get it so badly wrong. 21st of September 1866, Charles Nicolet. Charles Jules Henry Nicolet, French bacteriologist who received the Nobel Prize in Medicine for his identification of lice as a transmitter of epidemic typhus. In 1903, Nicolet became the director of Pasteur Institute in Tunis, where he did his Nobel Prize-winning work on typhus, bringing Helene Sparrow with him as laboratory chief. So Nicolet's discovery came about from his observation that epidemic typhus patients were able to interact with other patients inside and outside the hospital, and their clothes seemed to spread the disease. They were no longer infectious when they had the hot bath and a change of clothes. Once he realized this, he reasoned that it's most likely that the lice were the vectors of the typhus, and further research showed that major transmission methods was not the louse bites, but excrement. Lice infected with typhus turns red and die after a couple of weeks. But in the meantime, they excrete a large number of microbes. Yeah. So he tried the first vaccine on himself, and when he stayed healthy, he tried it on a few children because of their better immune system, which developed typhus but later recovered. He was born in Rouen. He
also discovered Toxoplasma gondiosi, which is a parasite which is possibly responsible for the crazy cat lady phenomenon. So Toxoplasma is a parasite that lives in cats and mice, and it causes the mice to lose their fear of cats because it wants to be eaten by the cats to become, to be able to go to its next stage of its life cycle. So it manipulates the mice somehow into not being afraid of cats anymore. And the theory is that the crazy cat ladies are infected and have the same effect.
So does that mean that the crazy cat lady on The Simpsons was not because she was burned out, but because she was infected?
Possibly.
Simpsons writers. If you're hearing this, I think you might need to change something.
Well, this is a case of real life did it first.
That's true. So on the 21st of September 1918, John William Goffman, American scientist and advocate. He was the professor emeritus of molecular and cell biology at University of California at Berkeley. He pioneered the field of clinical lipidology and was honored the title the father of clinical lipidology. Jesus, what's with the names? By the Journal of Clinical Lipid. So Goffman was instrumental in inducing the health physics scientific community both to acknowledge the cancer risks of ionizing radiation and to adopt the linear no threshold model as means of estimating actual cancer risk from low-level radiation and as the foundation of international guidelines for radiation protection. However, his conclusions were that the dose-response relationships was not linear, but supralinear. He also co-discovered several radioisotopes, notably uranium-233 and its fissionability. He was the third person ever to work with plutonium and had devised an early process for separating plutonium from fission products at J. Robert Oppenheimer's request. He was the first chemist ever to try and isolate milligram quantities of plutonium. Later in life, Goffman took on the role as an advocate, warning the dangers of involving nuclear power. He was born in Cleveland, Ohio. So on to our events of interest. On the 21st of September 1942, the Boeing B-29 Super Fortress made its maiden flight. On September 21, 1942, the Super Fortress made its debut flight in Seattle, Washington. It was the largest bomber used in war by any nation. It was conceived in 1939 by General Hap Arnold, who was afraid of German victory in Europe would mean that the United States would be devoid of bases on the eastern side of the Atlantic from which to counterattack. A plane was needed that would travel faster, further, and higher than any available. So Boeing created this four-engine heavy bomber. So it was extraordinarily able to carry loads almost equal of its weight at altitudes of 30,000 to 40,000 feet. So the Super Fortress made its run, but would not make its bombing run debut until June 5th, 1944, against Bangkok, in preparation for the Allied liberation of Burma from Japanese hands. In one raid, it killed 80,000 people. Wow! But the B-29's lethal missions would come in August, as it was the only plane capable of delivering a 10,000-pound bomb, the atomic bomb. The Enola Gay and the Boxcar took off from Marianas on August 6th and August 9, respectively, and flew into history. See, I thought the Enola Gay was just Krusty's plane. I did not know the whole reference to that.
No, but if I remember correctly, the Enola Gay was named after the pilot's mother.
Huh. Yeah, it was named after Enola Gay Tibbets, the mother of the pilot, Colonel Paul Tibbets.
Probably better than having the nuke named after you, but not by much.
Yeah, this was the first aircraft to drop the atomic bomb. The bomb was codenamed Little Boy, and it was Hiroshima. No. Oh.
And then a few days later, Boxcar dropped the bomb on Nagasaki.
So on the 21st of September 1953, Lieutenant No Kam Sok, and yes, that is actually a name. A North Korean pilot defects to South Korea with his jet fighter. So on the morning, No flew his Mikoyan Gruvich MiG-15 from Sunan, just outside Pyongyang, to the Kimpo Air Base in South Korea. The time from takeoff in North Korea to landing was just 17 minutes, and the MiG reached 1,000 kilometers per hour, which during the flight, he was not chased by any North Korean aircraft because he was too far away, nor was he interdicted by American air or ground forces. U.S. radar near Kimpo had shut down temporarily that morning for routine maintenance. So No landed the wrong way on the runway, almost hitting an F-86 Sabre jet landing at the same time from the opposite direction. Captain Dave William veered out of the way and exclaimed over the radio, "It's a goddamn MiG!" So when No taxied the MiG into a free parking spot between two Sabre jets, he got out of the plane and began tearing a picture of Kim Il-sung that was placed in the cockpits of North Korean aircraft, and then threw up his arms in surrender at an approaching airbase security guard. After being taken into custody and debriefed by CIA operative Andy Brown, born Arseny Yankovsky, son of Yuri Yankovsky, No received $100,000, which is equivalent to $955,597 in 2019 standards, reward offered by Operation Moolah for being the first pilot to defect with an operational aircraft, which he said he never heard of prior to his defection. I wonder what was his excuse. Like, if he did not hear about the defection, what was his reason then?
Wanting the GTFO?
Well, that's a good reason.
I mean, $1 million is nice, but getting out of North Korea is probably equally as nice.
Yeah. I mean, that's a lot of money and a new life as well.
Yeah.
You want to know his American name, Flo? It's interesting.
What is it?
Kenneth H. Rowe. That sounds like a traditional Western name.
It does. I've noticed with the Chinese exchange students, they all tend to pick sort of outdated names.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Like, what's a name I haven't heard in a long time? I've never heard of a Justin in so many years. Like, I knew like one a Justin, but later on it's just like there's no Justins. It's like Ben, Matthew, and Charlie, and
I know a bunch of Justins.
Wow, you're a lucky man. So on the 21st of September 1964, the North Korean, the North American XB-70 Valkyrie, the world's fastest bomber, makes its maiden flight from Palmdale, California. And one engine had to be shut down shortly after its takeoff, and an undercarriage malfunction warning meant that the flight was flown with an undercarriage down as a precaution, limiting the speed to 390 miles per hour, about half that planned. During the landing, the rear wheels of the port side main gear locked, the tires ruptured, and a fire started. Man, that's gotta suck.
Yeah, better than having the plane break up in midair.
Oh, yeah. Can you imagine being the pilot on that day? Just go like, this is not my day. This is definitely not my day.
You gotta have something special to be a test pilot.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason most of the early astronauts were test pilots.
Isn't it to basically like I thought it was basically to test the whether they could handle like G-force on rather than going through the whole spinning experiment, like do it through flights and stuff.
There's that, but NASA was recruiting Air Force pilots to begin with, and doing so they had to pick people who had the right stuff, and that happened to be test pilots, because it takes a certain attitude to sit on top of a giant bomb and ride it into space.
And finally, on the 21st of September 1981, Sandra Day O'Connor is unanimously approved by the U.S. Senate as the first female Supreme Court justice. President Ronald Reagan nominates Sandra Day O'Connor, an Arizona Court of Appeals judge, to be the first woman Supreme Court justice in U.S. history. On September 21, the Senate unanimously approved her appointment to the nation's highest court, and on September 25th, she was sworn in by Chief Justice Warren Burger. She's a moderate conservative and faced opposition from anti-abortion groups who criticized the judicial defense of legalized abortions on several occasions. Liberals celebrated the appointment of a woman to the Supreme Court, but were critical of some of her views. On social issues, she often voted with liberal justices, and in several cases she upheld abortion rights. During her time on the bench, she was known for her dispassionate and carefully researched opinions, and was regarded as a prominent justice because of a tendency to moderate the sharply divided Supreme Court. So that makes Ruth Bader Ginsburg the second woman to chair in Supreme Court. Anyways, that's all we have for this week. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Spotify. You can also find us on that'snotcanon.com, where we have an archive of our old episodes. And you can also find some new That's Not Canon podcasts, like Near and Queer to My Heart. Sounds like a pretty cool podcast name.
Yeah, what's that one about?
That one is about... it's a podcast dedicated to sharing the lives and stories of queer performers. And each episode, they interview a different queer performer.
Sounds like a great addition to the That's Not Canon family.
Yeah. They can also find us on Pod Hero.
Yep, on Pod Hero for $5 a month, you can support us and other podcasts. Your subscription is split between all the podcasts that you listen to, in accordance with the ratio of how much you listen to each one.
So that's all we have for this week. Take care of yourselves, stay hydrated, and
We'll see you next time.